Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. Today, we're going to talk about a wealth hack that every person under 40 needs to hear. If you have anybody in your family that's under the age of 40, you want to share this with them because the world has changed. And I'm going to talk to you about why it's so difficult for young people to get ahead financially, and also some little hacks that if you can change your thinking can help put you ahead. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day under the B1 condition. B1 means we are Black first. Black first means that we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means we want to build Black businesses. Black first means we want to educate our kids. We want to break generational curses, not continue them. If you agree, if that philosophy works for you, put a B1 in the chat, hashtag B1. Let me know what city you're from. Also, I'll shout your city back. I see Amina Malone, a B1 to you too. Clyde O. El Hodge from Winston-Salem. Good to see you, brother. Maurice Harrell out of Sarasota. Very nice to see you as well. And as you come in, shout out your city. And if I see your city, I'll shout your city back. And also make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up. Hit the notification bell because Black channels have a hard time on YouTube because sometimes they get shadow banned if we talk about a racial issue or anything controversial. But if you hit the notification bell, that means you'll be notified when we go live on this platform. So hit the notification bell. Hello, Lakita Bird and Kiki out of Long Island and Aurora, Colorado. Very nice. Sounds very cold. I'm actually in Iceland right now, believe it or not. So Geraldine out of Gary, Atlanta. Jerry from Atlanta. Sorry about that. Out of Atlanta. Yeah, it's pretty cold outside. It's like 59 degrees. Anyway, let me jump into this conversation. So I was looking at something, and how many of you have noticed that that the cost of rent has gone up? How many of you have noticed that the cost of rent and the cost of damn near everything just seems to be going up and up and up faster than typical? Give me a yes in the chat if you've noticed these things, if these things have affected your life, or give me a no if you think it hasn't affected your life. Because remember, I'm going to talk to you actually about inflation and why inflation is a bad or a good thing depending on which side of the economic spectrum you happen to be. Now, let me show you a little chart here. This is a crazy chart. This shows you how rent has gone up over the last 20 or 30 years. If you look at this chart right here, you should see it on the screen. This shows you that these are the years, but you can see the general slope of the chart. If you had an apartment in 1975 or 1970, look at that, $108 a month. How about that? $108 a month in rent in 1975, 1990, approximately. You're talking about 447. That was actually high. I don't know about y'all, but when I was when I'd say about 91, 92, 93, I was paying like $300 a month or something like that. And then you keep going forward and you go up here to 2019 and beyond. You're talking about well over $1,000 a month. And actually, when I looked up the average rent in America right now, that number was much, much higher. It was actually something like $1,320 or something like that, right? So $1,320 a month. It's unbelievable, right? So here's the thing. Here's one of the things I want you to understand when it comes to where young people are and what they're dealing with. A lot of expenses have gone up. Also, student loans have become an absolute beast. We've talked about this on this platform. The student loan debt crisis. We've always had student loans, and we've had them for a long time, but it's taken an accelerated hit. In fact, let me see if I can find another chart real quick for you guys, because I actually think this is worth kind of looking at so you can understand what you're dealing with. And this is mostly, I said people under 40, because that's, I guess that's technically where you are if you're a millennial, that kind of thing. So all the millennials and beyond under 40, this is what you're looking at here. So let me see here. Average student loans by year. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Let me see if I can find. They said the average student loan right now, student loan debt is about $32,000. Debt at graduation though has gone up. Let me show you all this chart. This kind of shows you what your kids are dealing with, maybe, or what you're dealing with if you're younger than 40. So here we go. Let me hit this, open this up. All right. So here you have student loan debt at graduation by year, right? So on this chart, what you're looking at here is if you go back to say, well, see, this is only going back to 2004. I wish they would go back further. But if you just go back to 2004, you can see the differential. Look at this, average was 18,000. Now that average is about 31,100, and it's probably higher than that because it goes up every year. Average debt at graduation 29,000, and even as late as 2004, you could still kind of deal with that, work that out. That number has kind of gone up. It says 36,000. I personally think it's a little bit higher, honestly. In fact, give me a yes if your student loan debt is higher than 36,000. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I know that there are racial disparities also. Black people have a lot more debt than others, I think, because we've been trained to see education as a way to have upward mobility. They taught you that if you go to school and you learn from white people and you give them all your money, that they're going to give you a skill that will convince another white person to hire you and allow you to be an economic babysitter. And that's kind of what it is. And I know that sounds cynical, but that's really true. If you look around the community, we tend to believe, unfortunately, that owning businesses and generating revenue and selling products is mostly for white people. In fact, that's one of the things that we see sometimes online is you see people that just hate black businesses, and black businesses have a tough time because you get discriminated against by white people. You get discriminated against by other black people. When a black business owner makes a mistake, we don't say, oh, he made a mistake. How do we make it better? Or how do we correct this mistake? We say, oh, you're a scammer. You're terrible. You need to be out of business. And but imagine if they did that with every white business that's ever made a mistake. That's one of the reasons why I had some fruitful conversations with people about some of the businesses in our community. And I said, I think there's a way you can handle this without feeling like you got to burn everything down. Because if they did that to McDonald's, there would be no McDonald's. If they did that to Walmart, every time they made a mistake, there would be no Walmart. If they did that to UPS, every time they screwed up, right now, I think UPS was on the verge of a major strike. I don't know where that stands right now, but imagine there would be no UPS if people burned down UPS every time they made a mistake. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you get it, because I think there's some people who don't get it, and I really want you to understand that. And so because the margin of error for Black-owned businesses is so thin, it can be difficult. It can be tough. In my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, which you can feel free to grab a copy on Amazon, I talk about this. I talk about the fact that it is really hard for Black business owners because you don't have what I call fertile economic soil. You're not growing in a space that's nurturing you, cheering you on, helping you course correct as you make mistakes. You're dealing with a place where people show up with pitchforks and they want to destroy everything. And I just think it's so unhealthy and so crazy and so toxic. And so it's tough, right? So shout out to everybody who's running a business. If you're running a business, I congratulate you because you are among the talented 10th. You are among the strongest. You are among the most visionary because you understand the importance of planting seeds. For example, the NFL, the $100 billion entity that it is, wouldn't exist if someone had not planted seeds. If they hadn't bought the Chicago Bears for $300 or $400, bought the New York Giants for $25 or whatever they paid. I don't know what they pay for these teams exactly, but it was insanely small amounts of money. But they then nurtured and poured into that instead of going everybody scattering and going to work for other people. They worked on their own project, and that's how the NFL became what it is. So, with that being said, I want to say this really to anybody who's trying to understand this economy and trying to get ahead, especially younger people. I encourage you, the minute you get an opportunity to build something of your own, you got to do it. Everybody should own something. Everybody should own a piece of something, right? You don't have to run a business to own a business. That's a misconception. And in fact, actually, one great way to become a business owner today, in fact, give me a yes. I'm going to do a little trick. How many of y'all would like to learn to own a business by 2 o'clock today? Give me a yes in the chat if you think. Let's pull a little. I'm gonna pull a little trick for you real quick. You might be able to guess what it is if you're smart, but maybe not. How many of you would like to be business owners by 2 o'clock today, where you actually have a business and it's a functioning business? It's not a pretend business. It's actually real. Give me a yes in the chat if you'd like me to show you how to own a business by 2 o'clock today. Give me a yes. Give me some yeses, and then I'll show you. All right. So here's how everybody in this room, everybody listening right now, everybody listening on Spotify, we're on Spotify too, can own a business by this afternoon. Very easy. Buy shares of stock. That's it. Get on your app, Pick any app you want. I don't care. Just pick one that's reliable. Pick, Robinhood, Acorn, Stash, or E Trade, or whatever, and start buying shares of stock. Because when you buy stock, you become an owner of that company. You literally own that company. And the reason I bring this up is because you live in this crazy inflationary environment, and inflation is a bad thing if you are a worker. Inflation is a terrible thing if you are a consumer. Inflation is horrible if you are a renter. But y'all know how the game works. Somebody's benefiting. When somebody's suffering, usually somebody's benefiting. Well, let me tell you about this. Anybody ever heard of a term called asset inflation? Anybody heard that? Well, asset inflation is is even stronger than regular inflation. Asset inflation reflects the fact that as the cost of all goods and commodities goes up, the price of assets goes up. So not only is the price of carrots going to go up in the grocery store, but the price of your real estate is going to go up. But you got to be an owner. Not only is the cost of, I don't know, sneakers or chicken noodle soup going to go up, but so is the value. So are the valuations on the stock market. But you got to be a stock owner. Do you understand? So don't act like, see, when I ask y'all a question, if I was to ask y'all a trick question, you know what I'd ask? I'd say, is inflation bad or good? What do you think? Do you think inflation's bad or good? Well, if you know, if you study finance as long as I have, and I've taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, et cetera, and now we run the Black Business School. We have 156,000 students around the world. Um, if I were to answer that specifically, I'd say it depends. That's the answer for almost every single financial question in the universe. Is it depends. It depends. Well, which side of the fence are you on? Right? So effectively, if you are an owner in America, inflation benefits you. Where do you think it comes from? Rich people, rich people and people that run the government, which is kind of the same thing, they create inflation because inflation stimulates economic growth to a certain point. They don't want too much inflation, but inflation tends to benefit certain people because other people are paying the price. Okay, so if you want the stocks that I buy, I'll send you. This is for free. This is something totally for free. And I'm gonna tell you, if you disagree or you don't like how I explain it, it's totally okay. I get it. You can go somewhere else. But also, I don't need, we're blocking trolls, right? Like trolls kind of get on my nerves. I'm getting like John Heinrich Clark, where he said that I will debate my equals, but others I'll just teach. So honestly, not to say you're not my equal, but if you put in 30 years teaching college students, then we can debate. If you have a PhD in this stuff, we can debate. But if you want to just come in here and be a Negro naysayer and tell me black people don't have any wealth, I'm not going to debate you. I'll either teach you or I'll dismiss you and free you to go learn from other broke people who are still trying to figure out why they don't have any wealth. So you can text the word stock to 31996, and I will send you what I call profit alerts. This is totally free to the community. You don't have to pay a nickel for this. And I will send you, in fact, I'm going to send one later on today, and I'll send you stocks that I'm personally buying for my own family portfolio. So feel free to text the word stock to 31996. So do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching the Black Financial Channel. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And then after you text the word stock to 31996, you can also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can join us Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to start doing Stock Market Tuesdays, where I'll come in and I'll answer your questions about the stock market and what I'm saying. There's a lot of money being made right now in the market. I encourage you to jump in there and make it happen. All right. So anyway, all right. So let's keep going. Do me a favor. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. We're talking about young people under the age of 40, and why things are more difficult for them than they were for their parents, and a couple of wealth hacks that can help you get around this. One of the things you have to understand is that money mindset is a very real thing. In the Black Business School, my wife, who's a therapist, she helped me come up with the idea of us creating a Black financial therapy department. She's been a licensed therapist for a long time. She's a full professor of social work. She's been seeing clients for a long time. And we realized that a lot of the reason Black wealth doesn't exist is because of mindset, right? So one of the things that I want you to kind of consider, in addition to just whatever wealth mindset looks like, and we've talked extensively about that, I won't go into that today, is also culture. And I talk in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I talk about culture a lot. And I talk about things like relationships, things that seem to have nothing to do with money, but it has everything to do with money. And the reason I bring up culture today is because I saw a quote. I have this app on my phone that gives me like random facts that you don't know. Like, for example, there's some snake. I forgot what it's called. I put it on my Instagram. It's right there on the screen. But there's some snake where it bites you and it causes you to bleed through like 50 holes in your body, like little holes in your body form and blood just comes out. Like just little crazy facts that you would never think about. Or that spiders could eat every human being on the planet and still be hungry. Theoretically, they said theoretically, there's enough spiders, I guess, that they could eat every single human being on the planet and still be hungry after that, which that's a crazy stat. But one of the things that they brought up on the little app, and I think everybody should be learning on a daily basis, I love to learn, is they talked about Eastern culture versus Western culture. Now, I promise you, I'm getting to the point here because I want you to understand it. And they said in the East, meaning China, India, stuff like that, they tend to believe that the success of the group is more important than the success of the individual. Now, they said in the West, we have learned to believe that the success of the individual is more important than the success of the group. Now, I want to ask you a question. Give me a yes or no. Do you agree? Do you agree with that statement that in the West we have a lot of individualism? In the West, we kind of feel like everybody has to do it by themselves. In the West, we take our own individual feelings more seriously than we take the feelings and the needs of the group. Give me a yes if you think that that is true about the West. I think it's true. Honestly, I think it's true, and it shows up in things like high divorce rates. Because everyone says, well, I got to do what's best for me. Or you see lots of fighting, particularly in the Black community. You see so much chaos and fighting and destruction because the ability to think as a group is somewhat limited. You see it with families. You know, I had to grow out of that. Our 20-year-old decided to come home from college. And my first reaction was, he need to get up out of here. You know, like, no, you ain't supposed to be up in here. You're supposed to go get, start your life, get you an apartment, whatever. And then I had to change my own thinking. This is my own life. Like my literally, like when you guys go to my website, and I'll put it on the chart. When you go to my website and buy my book, my kids will be the ones who are shipping the book to you. Like literally, so I had to change my own mindset. And I said, Boyce, I know you're caught up in this idea that because he's 20 years old, he ain't supposed to be up in the house with you. And that's because I grew up with this pretty sturdy, strong, sometimes a little toxic alpha male who just felt like there should only be one rooster in the hen house. That's what I grew up with. So I had the same reaction to him. And then I challenged myself and I said, who said it has to be that way? Who says that, he needs to go out here and struggle by himself and you got to sit at home and run your business and hire a stranger to work with you? Why don't you train him and hire him? And then you bond with him and connect with him, and you're giving him a lifelong skill that's going to make him successful. So that's what we did. And when I did that, do you understand? Do you hear me when I tell you that that literally put an extra $500,000 into our household over the course of like a year or two? Seriously, I sell. I know how to. I have a. We sell a ton of books because the book is good. By the way, you can look at the reviews on Amazon. There's thousands of reviews. They're very positive, and so the flood of orders were coming in, and I was like, why am I trying to go hire a stranger when I got people in my own family that can also be part of the labor pool that we work with, and then they benefit because they got a great job. We're working with people that they love, and they're making good money. I pay them well, and then I benefit because I've got people around me that I can trust, and so it works out. So my thing is that like even for those of us who've been trained on finance at a high level, culture sometimes supersedes what you actually know. It's like getting in shape. Like I always knew that going to the gym would help me lose weight, but I didn't have the culture that made me get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym. Right. So what you know can sometimes be different from what you do. And we've all struggled with that. I struggled with that my whole life. It's always a battle. So I encourage you to shift your thinking. So here's a little wealth hack. This came to me. I think it came from God because I woke up with this on my mind. So I wanted to share this on the podcast. I think anybody under the age of 40 should understand that the world is different from your parents' world. Um, the jobs are not what they used to be. Corporations don't pay very well, and they don't have much loyalty. They don't have any loyalty to workers like they used to. Um, the wages are not what they're supposed to be. The minimum wage should be much higher than it is. Also, the prices of things are going up, and the way most people are surviving is they're going into debt. you're hitting a big part of the debt cycle. That's going to be another bubble that's going to burst. It's going to cause problems for the economy. Um, I think young people who are smart should really start embracing certain ideas that might seem more Eastern than Western. I don't understand. So let me give you an example. The average cost of rent in the United States is about $1,320, right? What if you found four of your friends that you can trust, that are reliable people, that are not assholes, that are decent human beings, and say, let's each throw $1,300 a month into a pot, and we can even have it in an escrow account or some sort of process where the money's managed, and just buy us a big old house. Like really, it's $1,320 a month times five is what, about 6,800, 67, $6,800 a month. You could buy a house that's worth almost $1 million. And you say so it sounds simple, right? Theoretically, it's simple. So the question is, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Well, part of the reason you don't do that is because we can't trust each other, right? We don't have, especially in our community, we have a lot of what I call financial trauma that occurs where people don't hold up their end of the bargain. A lot of people are not on code. A lot of people attack each other. People are more likely to attack than they are to try to build, and so that's one problem. Also, it's just not part of our culture. Mexicans do this a lot, actually. Has anybody ever seen a Mexican family come from south of the border and 20 people will live in an apartment that's like got two bedrooms or something crazy like that? And you're like, "Oh, how are all of y'all living in that same place? And why are y'all all doing that?" Right. But then what you'll see is about 2 or 3 years later, they're doing better than black families that have been here for multiple generations. Do y'all understand that should be a concern for us? Yeah, I don't know. Is anybody else concerned about the fact that there are people that can come from other countries and be here far less than you have and end up doing better than your whole family in like 5 years? Or am I the only person who thinks that that's an issue? Um, and here's the thing. I think that Dr. Claude Anderson writes about this, and I think that you're right that they do get benefits that are a little bit unfair. I know about neighborhoods in Chicago where they're upset because they kind of took a lot of illegal people and moved them into those neighborhoods, and Ukrainians get these big checks that they're writing for Ukrainian families and all that. But still, I'm trying to figure out why we don't learn from what other people are doing as opposed to just sitting back and being mad about it. You know why some of us do that? It's culture. It's bad culture. Culture teaches you to sit back and be pissed off that somebody's doing better than you, as opposed to simply learning from that person and figuring out how they did what they did. And this is slave culture. This is something that we've been fighting for hundreds of years. We're going to keep on fighting. It ain't going to go away in our lifetime or yours. But for those of you that have the awareness to understand this, I encourage you to expand your thinking. I don't see why, or even maybe you have enough siblings and cousins that you can trust, maybe or friends or whoever. I encourage people to build economic families, and economic families basically just like an economic gang. You're becoming gang affiliated. Economics is very gang affiliated. People don't understand that. If you read Powernomics and books like that, it's all about finding a clique that you operate with. Like Apple. Apple's nothing but an economic gang. There are a bunch of people that got together with one common goal that all live by a certain agenda, a certain set of rules. If you violate those rules, you get kicked out of the gang. They wear the same little logo, that little apple on their shirt, and they have the same set of core values. That's why a lot of companies, when they found themselves, they start off with basic core values. For example, in the Black Business School, our Black core of three is that we believe Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black-owned businesses. And I know that this works, and I'm hoping more people will agree with me. And when I told Kanye West, we talked about it for 2 or 3 hours that night, and the next day he texts me something saying, educate our own children, create our own jobs, support Black business. So that made me feel good that he understood where we were coming from. So what I'm saying to you is that as Black people, I think it's really important for us to just understand these ideas. And for those that don't get it, it's going to create kind of a little bit of a divide. You're in a little bit of a war. You're in a culture war. But it's okay. After the war is over and the dust settles, the more powerful side will win. And I'm convinced that based on the things that I'm training you guys on, that we're talking about every single day of the week, and we've been doing this for 15 years, intelligent Black people are going to win. Our children are really going to win. Our grandchildren are going to really win. So, in anybody who doesn't submit to the agenda of us working together as a team, guess what? Their children are going to just work for your children. Their children are going to be slaves. Their grandchildren, unfortunately, are going to be slaves to a capitalist society. And slaves don't have a lot of power. I hate saying it like that. But when you have people that are divided and conquered and ignorant and lost, and then they're listening to the media that's encouraging them to stay high on dope all the time, they want you high because when you're high, you can't think for yourself. You don't think straight. You can't strategize if you're always high. I know a lot of young people get, we're told you just smoke weed all day long, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all this other stuff. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be the guy, I'm going to be the hater that says, come on, man, you really don't want to do that if you want to be successful. So I think that young people should think creatively. I think that the same group of people, if you find that clique, if you find that group of people that you can build with, you don't just build with them in real estate. Real estate's the first step. First, you climb that first hurdle. Let's save our money. Let's get the down payment. Let's buy that $800,000 house together. Now we're building equity. Now inflation has gone from being an enemy to a friend. Literally, that one move takes inflation from being an enemy to a friend, because while the price of bread is definitely going to go up, the price of my house is also going up. Hey, but that's the first step. Then at that point, again, because you formed healthy relationships and you've embraced specific core values like knowledge and hard work, well, now you're starting businesses together. Now, because you're in the same house, hear me now. Are y'all hearing me? This is a game plan. This can work. And if you have anybody in your family under the age of 40, I encourage you to send them this video. Maybe they'll watch it. Maybe it'll help somebody. But now that you're in the same house, you created wealth because you're together. And this is economic theory. This is economic theory. I can show you some advanced textbooks on economics that literally make the argument that people simply being in the same space on a regular basis creates wealth. Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew that? How many of y'all knew? Think about this. It doesn't just create wealth, it creates power and wealth. You don't believe me? I got this book. Let me show you. Here's the next book. Every Wednesday night in the Black Business School, we do Dr. Boyce Book Club, and it's totally free. We've been reading Dr. Claude Anderson books because I figured if people don't want to read it, I'll read it to them because he doesn't have audio versions of his books. So I'm just reading it, out loud. That's why my Instagram got taken down, because I was reading his books out loud. But I don't care. I'm going to keep on going. I'm not going to do it publicly, though. We're going to do it in a private Zoom. But in this book, Dr. Claude Anderson talks about laws that they made specifically designed to ensure that Black people never come together and do anything as a group. Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew that? How many of y'all knew that there were laws that said if we see more than two of y'all in a group, we're going to arrest everybody? And it still happens to this day. I mean, let a group of Black teenagers just be hanging out on the street corner and see how quick the cops roll up to find out what's going on. And the reason that that's done is because coming together as a group is a form of power. You're forming a gang. You're forming a collective. So when you are together in the same house, that's less time, especially if you get that first business rocking. And again, this is really cool if you're 25. Zuckerberg did this, by the way. Anybody ever heard those stories about how Zuckerberg started Facebook? How these white boys would get a house and they'd be in the house together and they'd all be like drinking beer and programming their computers at the same time, building 100, 200, 3. What is Facebook worth? Let me see. Hit the thumbs up button while I Google this because I'm really curious. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. All right, let me see. Facebook market cap. Facebook's market cap is $827 billion right now. So they literally built $1 trillion company because a bunch of white boys got together with their computers and started drinking beer. That's what they did. They sat and they programmed on their laptops and they shared ideas. They all showed up with specific skills. They got on code and worked together. And they created a company that's going to be worth $1 trillion probably by next year or the year after that. Do y'all understand how powerful that is? Like, so I want y'all to imagine this. Imagine if instead of being in that house together where they're drinking beer and programming on their laptops, imagine if all of them were like, nah, man, nah, bro, I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work, man. Nah, dog, my boss. I would spend time on the business, man, but I can't cause my boss calling me and he told me I gotta work an extra shift. Or or imagine this, they're all living in separate houses. So everybody's struggling individually, trying to keep their head above water. Like, yeah, I would work with you on that little business, but that little business you got going on, that little Facebook thing, but I gotta go to work and I gotta pay the bills. I gotta pay the bills. Think about it. I want you to think about this for a minute now. I need y'all to hear me. How many of you have had a great business idea that could have been great if everybody had simply put in the time and put in the work? But the idea died. What again? Let me take a guess at what happened. The idea died and lost momentum because everybody got busy. Because everybody was trying to. It's like you all had a baby and you're trying to raise the baby in your spare time, and that's not a healthy baby. A baby that's healthy is a baby that's getting full time attention. A baby that's healthy is a baby that gets fed every day. A baby that's healthy is a baby that's getting nurtured and cuddled as much as possible, not a baby that you only see on the weekends. So effectively, your businesses die because you're spending all your time and energy building somebody else's business. So one of the reasons that this kind of a basic wealth hack is so powerful is because if I'm in a space where we've got the rent and the bills taken care of, now we can really focus. We can really get into the work that actually matters. Another thing, if you're 22, 23 years old, you can live with your parents. I just believe you have to add value. Maybe living with your parents, maybe that's your time to sort of grind away at your business, right? Because here's the thing, I need you to understand that the difference between freedom and slavery for most people is usually about $5,000 a month. Most people cannot live their best life because they have about three to $5,000 a month in bills that they cannot pay without selling their time and maybe even their soul to somebody else. So if you're able to find some way to get that first 3 to 5,000 a month covered, where you don't have to worry about that anymore, watch how your thinking elevates. If that's your goal, if that's your objective, watch how much more time you have to pour into the things that you do. A lot of the people that are the most successful people I know are simply people who are able to give the most time. Their business baby is the healthiest baby because the baby got fed the most breast milk. The baby got the most nurturing. The baby got the most time with his parents. But a lot of y'all got businesses that die because they're like little starving babies. But guess what? Your employer, his business ain't dead. If you're working at FedEx, their business ain't dying because they're well nurtured because you're giving your best to raising their baby and not your own. So I'm gonna say this: if I was a 25-year-old right now, number one, I'd be an entrepreneur. I wouldn't be trying to get no stupid corporate job and all this other crap that people have out here. It's all a false. It's all a lie. It's all a false lie. I know they got rid of affirmative action and all that, but affirmative action was BS before they got rid of it. These companies all have, sorry, they all have these diversity statements and we believe in diversity and we don't believe in discrimination based on race, creed, or color and religion. Blah blah blah. That's a bunch of crap. They just say that just so they can be legally compliant. I like the fact that we live in a world now where it's clear. They're like, no, Texas A&M, in fact, literally just banned any person who applies to that institution who puts a diversity statement in their application. You can't even talk about diversity in your application at Texas A&M, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I saw Roland Martin very upset about that, and maybe he should be. I think he went to that school. But what I'll say is, as Black people, if I was 25, I would have my own business. I would be investing as much as possible. I would learn how to create good relationships with the right people. Maybe starting with a spouse, maybe not. You don't have to. Marriage is hard. I get it, but at the very least, have some good relationships with good people that you can build with, and then make some sort of a creed, some sort of an oath, maybe a set of rules. Like did y'all know? Did y'all know? Let me tell y'all this. This is crazy. Do y'all know how Silicon Valley got started? That, in fact, before I do that, before I tell you the story, do me a favor. Please hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching the Black Financial Channel. And also, my new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. If you'd like to get a copy, you can go to boycewatkins.com. And I want to remind everybody that the All Black National Convention is going to happen October 20th through the 22nd in Atlanta. It's the largest gathering on earth of intelligent Black people. So you're welcome to join us in Atlanta if you'd like to be a part of that. It's also just so much fun. It's a great event. Everybody loves it. All right. So hit that thumbs up button. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. So let's before I actually tell you this Silicon Valley story, let's see if we can do a Google search. Total economic value of all businesses in Silicon Valley. Let's see if we can, because I want y'all to understand the economic power of this absolute behemoth that was created. And then I'm gonna tell you where it came from, and you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. Um, I know that they said that in California, Silicon Valley jobs contribute 10% of the jobs and 13% of the state's GDP. How much wealth is in Silicon Valley? There's $1 trillion in wealth in Silicon Valley. $1 trillion in wealth. Okay. So let me tell you how Silicon Valley came to be. And I don't know all the story in complete detail because I did not plan on telling it today, but I'm gonna tell it based on memory. So forgive me if I get any details wrong. Silicon Valley literally was created by, I think, 5 or 6 guys who worked in the East, and they worked for these businesses, and they wanted to start a company that makes like computer chips. And they went to a meeting, and at lunch they all signed some napkin, and they all agreed to go buy property in a place that wasn't called Silicon Valley. It was just a bunch of it was a place where there were orange groves, and they picked this property because, one, it was cheap, nobody wanted to live there, and two, it was near Stanford University, and they knew they could get the best talent from their community to come together to help them solve important problems. So as a result of them getting together and making an agreement to all sort of run away from the plantation together. At that time, there weren't as many entrepreneurs. It was much, much more difficult to become an entrepreneur than it is now. They all just got together, got on code, made a pact, and went out to Silicon Valley. Next thing you know, the rest was history. And so, what was fascinating to me is that if you were to go back in time and look at what they were seeing at that time, the thing that they were pouring into appeared to have no value, right? All there was promise and potential, but they made an agreement. They got on code as a collective, as a group, to go out there and pour their heart, soul, and energy into the space that would be theirs. So that once they made that space valuable, then the billions that were generated from Silicon Valley, a chunk of that will belong to them. And so what I would say is if I was 25, that's what I would do. I would find my closest buddies, not my stupid friends, not my lazy friends, not my friends that want to get high and drunk every day, not my friends that are shisty that ain't gonna pay back money that that somebody loaned you, not people that don't want to work hard, not people that have no skill. I'm talking about my friends that either have skill or want to get more skill. My friends are going to show up to meetings on time. My friends that are going to be reliable. My friends that are committed to the vision. My friends that will stay on code. And I would say, okay, let's make a piece of paper and make maybe 5 simple rules we're not going to violate because we are officially a family. We're like the mafia. In the mafia, they have rules, they have codes, they have standards of behavior. If you violate those standards, you will be extracted from the group. Okay, we're not going to kill you, but we are going to put you out of here. And then I would go to work. I would get a house. All of us move in this house. So now we're able to operate on a higher vibrational frequency in our thinking because we ain't spending all our time trying to pay bills. See, a lot of y'all can't live your best life and pursue your best dream because you're spending all your time thinking about how to pay bills. So because me and my 4 best friends got together and said, okay, let's get this place. The rent is $4,000 a month, so it's a big, gigantic house, and we own it. Right, that's the first entity that we're able to buy together as a group, as a collective, an LLC, investment club, whatever we form. And then now that's out of the way. Now we're going to get to grinding. We're going to work and we're going to play. We're going to have fun, but we're also going to work our butts off. morning, noon, and night. Ain't no such thing as a 9 to 5. That's a bunch of crap. That's corporate crap. Ain't no such thing as I don't work on the weekends. No, a mother does not take off from raising her baby just because it's Saturday. She doesn't abandon her baby for 3 or 4 days in a row or for an entire week because she's on vacation. She's always aware of what her baby's doing, what her baby's eating, who her baby's with, and if she's not doing it herself. That's how you raise a child. The same way you raise a child is the same way you raise a company. And this is something that is foreign to some people. I'm sharing this with you. My experience in this, my original experience in this was when I got my PhD. I learned that there was no such thing in my doctoral program. I was sitting next to students. One lady said she got the eighth highest math score in China. Like, this is the types of people that I was sitting in class with. There wasn't no such thing as, well, I don't study on the weekends or I stopped studying at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No, I grinded 7 days a week, 20, 8, 9 hours a day, Christmas included, every day for years without knowing that I would even pass the test. That's how crazy it was. So that's what gave me an insane work ethic, a consistency. And what I learned is that unfortunately, a lot of our young people are not exposed to that. You're exposed to a bad culture that breeds laziness, drug addiction, alcoholism, baby mamaism, bad decisions, feeling sorry for yourself, punking out, getting scared, running away, not investing, instant gratification, and all the other things that lead to you living a life where you feel like white folks got their foot on your neck. Well, you know what? Dr. Boyce and Uncle Boyce, those are two different people. Uncle Boyce is here to bust your head up out of all of that. Yeah, seriously. If I'm your daddy right now, or your uncle, or whatever I am, for that young person, I'm just here to tell you that life ain't like that, man. You're gonna have to really figure out who you are and what you want, and be ready to sacrifice for that. I hope y'all get what I'm saying. Let me know you get what I'm saying. And it comes off extreme, it comes off hard, it comes off mean, it comes off kind of terrible to some people because they just don't see that. They think that success and business and greatness just kind of happen, through luck. No, or they'll see somebody succeed and they'll say, "Oh, it's because they cheated. They're probably scamming people. That's how they got." No, you got to put in the work, man. And if you don't put in the work and you don't have the focus, you won't get it. But if you have a clique of people and everybody's on code and everybody's putting in the work, you know what's going to happen? You're going to end up having great ideas come out just because you're together, just because you're talking, just because you're obsessed with figuring out the next big thing. Your creativity will flourish. Ain't nobody thinking I got to go to my job and I'll be back at 9 o'clock when I'm gonna be exhausted. And I'm gonna work on the weekends. No, everybody wakes up in the morning when your brain is at its brightest, and instead of you giving all that energy to white folks, you're giving it to yourself. And next thing you know, your next $1 million idea just pops up because you're sitting there talking about a business problem over breakfast. That's where great businesses come from. That's what Zuckerberg did when he built that $1 trillion company called Facebook. And so when you're in that space, so that's what I would do. If I was 25, I would get together with my best friends, buy a house together, make a code, bust my ass, keep gaining new skill, keep investing. And then by the time you're like 35 or 40, by the time you're 35 to 40, you will be financially comfortable. By the time you're 40, you'll probably be a millionaire. And in some cases, I've seen young people become millionaires well before that point, maybe by the time they're even 30. Although I do think it's unrealistic to be sitting on Instagram where everybody wants to be flashy, everybody's lying, everybody's pretending, and really think that you're a loser if you don't have a Bugatti by the age of 27. I hate that culture. It's stupid. The rapper culture, all that stuff is just silly. The rapper Soldier Boy, I think it was just shown that his net worth is negative or something crazy like that. But they're always showing up shining with jewels and gold and diamonds in their mouth. It's all clownish. It's all buffoonery. It's not consistent in my view with what I perceive to be manhood. And so I think that any young person should understand that. So here's the bottom line. I'm gonna conclude on this. Could you do me a favor really quick? Please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. If you like this kind of content and this works for you, then I do go live, pretty regularly. And just hit the notification bell. That way Given the channel's probably shadow banned. I mean, I don't know how you can have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and they only notify like 200 people or something. But either way, though, if you'd like to be sure to be notified, just hit the notification bell. Also, this podcast is on Spotify, so you can go to Spotify and look up my name, Boyce Watkins. And also, if some of you have asked about me coming to do a training, maybe at your church or at your community center or whatever, or with your investment group or something like that. Well, our team in the Black Business School will partner with you. If you pay the deposit and find a venue, then and the deposit is $5,000, and you find a venue, then we will market your event for you. So we'll market it on this platform. I'll tell everybody I'm coming to your city, and that way it'll help you sell tickets, things like that, and that way everybody can benefit. And the deposit money is necessary because I have to pay this money to bring my team with me to the cities. But I do trainings on my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I do deep dive trainings on stock market investing as well as stock options. So if that's of interest to you, just email manager@boycewatkins.com. Her email address is here. Now, what I'm going to do is look at a couple of your questions before we bounce out. And it's serious questions only. If you're silly and you're a troll, don't waste your time trolling me. Just go back to your mama's basement or something. All right. Let's see here. One person says unrealistic. Okay, well, if it's unrealistic for you, then that probably means it's unrealistic for you. I'm not really here. I don't think we should waste time trying to convince people that believe it's unrealistic that it's realistic. I just don't. If you think that it's unrealistic, I have to ask you, how do you think all those white people and Mexican people and Jewish people and Arab people and Asian people are able to do it and you can't do it? Is it because you're black? Is that your problem? Like, what do y'all think? Give me a yes or no. Do you ever think that maybe as black people, we somehow are trained to embrace limiting beliefs about ourselves? What do y'all think? Or am I just tripping? Am I making stuff up? What do y'all think? Let me keep going. Anyway. All right, so let me see here. Next question. Soldier Boy invests in a smartphone video game handheld as an ex-computer repair operator. Hardware startup is capital intensive. Yes, very capital intensive. I think if he made the investment, when people go broke making an investment, chances are they probably broke one of the rules of investing, which is to diversify. You don't put all your money into one investment, and you definitely don't put it into anything, too many things that are illiquid because you may need your money later. Okay, he says you misunderstood. Okay, I'm sorry. If I misunderstood you, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Oh, I get it now. I'm so sorry. I misinterpreted your. I thought you were saying it was unrealistic to do this, but I get it now. Yeah, unrealistic to have fancy cars instead of a rapper. Yeah, you're right. It is. It's and it's a problem. It's similar to what they say social media does to the body images of young ladies. They see these other women who have these perfect bodies and they think they're supposed to be in perfect shape, and then they get depressed because because I don't know, she might weigh 118 pounds and she thinks she should only weigh 99 pounds, and it's kind of sick. And so I think social media is a little bit of a drug. It is, in fact, it is a drug. They deliberately manipulate your dopamine levels to make sure that you remain addicted. Okay, so if I were you, I would consider things like social media detoxes, or limit the amount of time you spend on social media. Or if there's something that's happening on social media that you find becomes a huge distraction or a stressor, then I say disconnect, turn that phone off. So like one thing that I do is I have my phone on complete silence. Nobody can call me, nobody can text me. It does not ding, beep, buzz, or anything, except for from maybe news outlets that can give me information that can benefit me in my investing journey. Those are the only interruptions I'll allow. Everything else, I don't want to hear about somebody tweeting or whatever. And again, my world is a little bit special because I have a lot of people that have things to say about what I say. Some most good, but then you have your haters or whatever. That's fine. The haters are a sign of success anyway, and I encourage them to keep on saying what they have to say. But I'm not listening. I'm not really. I listen. I'll listen enough to engage for a minute to kind of have fun with it. But then when it's time to disengage, I disengage. Right. So that tunnel vision, for anybody that wants to be successful, I encourage you to learn your version of tunnel vision, where you can make sure that you're always playing above the rim, right? Because I can tell you, the more you play above the rim, the more people are going to try to pull you into their mud, and you don't want to stay in the mud. It's very nasty in the mud. Let's see. Are you planning to come to Boston? You know what, Edward? I don't have any plans to come to Boston right now. But speaking of Boston, y'all got that basketball player, Jalen. What's Jalen Brown? I'm so impressed with him. He got the richest contract in NBA history. And this brother said he wants to build a Black Wall Street. That was what he said he wanted to do with his money. I said, man, this is beautiful. That's a dream come true, And I don't know him, but if he reached out, a lot of celebrities have called me through the years to ask questions. I would totally help him for free. Like all of them I offered it. Like I helped Ice Cube for free. Tyler Perry called me. I didn't want anything from him. With Kanye West called and I was willing to help him for free. I wanted Kanye to build some Powernomics centers. I said, look, if you could spend millions of dollars on your daughter's birthday party or on that choir that doesn't even exist anymore, which cost an ungodly amount of money. I think there was a magazine article that said he spent $50 million on a choir. I think that is misguided thinking, right? And this is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to combat because I don't it honestly disappoints me when this guy's almost 50 years old and he thinks it makes sense to spend $50 million on a choir, but I can't convince you to put $10 million into a Black financial literacy training camp that can train our kids on economics at the highest level for the next 100 years. Like literally for literally a fraction of the money that Kanye threw away, we could change the entire Black community. Like I'm talking about literally flip everything on its head where we go from last place to first place. So with Jalen Brown having that much capital and him having that much clarity on his commitment to Blackness, that's a huge game changer. And that's my dream. That's what I always wanted. I always said, gosh, I wish, can you imagine if we had, our richest celebrities who were really on code in terms of understanding what something that I just believe to be true, which is that your first obligation should be to the people that you come from, and I don't know why. I would say I don't know why that's such a radical idea, but I kind of do. It's slave thinking. It's what we've been trained to do, and I think that's one day that's going to be the norm. I think in 50 years you're going to have Black people with billions of dollars in the bank who are going to literally want to pour all of their resources, all of their connections, all their wealth into massive infrastructure projects that will create thousands of jobs in Black neighborhoods. That's where we're headed. That's where we're going to get to. I already know it. I already see it. And I already laid out the vision 12 years ago in my book. It takes a village to raise the bar, a new paradigm for Black America. And I laid out what I call Project 2070, which is that by the year 2070, Black people will lead the world. B1 people, especially, will lead the world in economic intelligence, in wealth acquisition, and just financial thinking. Like we're going to be beyond where the Jewish community is in terms of being known for being wealth builders. I think because we're going to change that culture, but it's not going to work for everybody. There's still going to be an underclass. Capitalism will always have poverty. There's always going to be people who don't listen. There's always going to be people who want to do something different. And I admit I don't even care to try to change their minds. People say, well, how do you convince they'll ask me all the time. They say, Dr. Boyce, how do I convince my relatives that don't want to listen to, that this is important, that this is going to help them? I say, you don't. You let them go out and get kicked in the ass by life for a while. Maybe they'll figure it out. And some people never do. Some people just think that's part of being Black. That being Black means you're always supposed to be behind. You're always supposed to be a day late and a dollar short, high, drunk, stupid, lost, behind, because that's the media brainwashing talking, right? So I think that you're best off working on strengthening yourself and your children and the people you influence than you are trying to go chase around some relative who's only going to get annoyed with you for trying to get them to change their behavior. My therapist taught me this because I'm a traumatized Black man, and I proudly talk about my therapist because that's my effort to try to be a better human being overall in terms of showing up properly for the people I love. And one thing my therapist said that I'll never forget is he said that advice that is unsolicited is often seen as criticism. Advice that is unsolicited is often seen as criticism. So that means that you might think that you're being helpful and supportive and you're trying to help them do the right thing. And they're annoyed. They're gonna think you uppity. Like y'all know, anybody get that? Like, oh, you a snob, but you think you better than everybody else. I get that all the time. Yeah, I get it online. Oh, he think he better than everybody else. Well, no, I don't think I'm better than anybody, but I'm definitely better than whatever piece of crap black men they put on TV. Like these images they put of us as black men on TV where we're stupid and lazy and ridiculous and destructive. Oh, I'm better than that. Yeah, I'm better than that. But I think you should be better than that too. Why can't we all be better together? Why does it have to be a competition? That's the next question I ask. Why do you think I'm trying to be better than you? Do you think me being better than you makes me a better person? Do you understand what I'm saying? Me being better than you does not make me a better person. It just might mean that you're just even more terrible than I am. So I don't want to be better than you. I want to be better than whatever standard I set for myself. I want to be better than the guy I was yesterday. I want to be better than the person they train me to be in these horrible public schools. I want to be better than the expectations that society has on me as a black man. I ain't trying to be better than you, man. I am not competing with you. That is, I compete with white supremacy, but I don't even compete with that because I think that black excellence dominates white supremacy. So I'm not even competing with white supremacy. I'm really competing with the standard, and the definition of the standard changes depending on who you are. So the question I ask you at the end of the day is, what is your standard? And are you competing with the standard? And once you compete with the standard, you ain't got to compete with the man next to you or the woman next to you. That's not appropriate. That's not even necessary. And you ain't got to compete with white people, because who said that white people are special? No, they don't have cauliflower that comes out of their butt when they use the bathroom. Like, what makes you think that equality to your oppressor somehow means that you've achieved some sort of success? Because I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. America is failing collectively. It ain't just black people. America's a society that's on the decline. So I don't want, if you're losing the race, I don't want to tie with you. I'm going to run at the pace I need to run in order to be able to compete in a global society. So that's my 2 cents. That's me explaining the context of all this, right? So I know we started off talking about the wealth hack for young people, but I think it's very important to talk about all these things. And I think it's very important for us to have intelligent discussions with each other so that we can be smarter, better people. And also it's important for us to build our own industries. So one thing that we've been doing is we've been using our little nickels to make movies. And our latest joint is a great movie directed by Rick Mathis called B1 the Movie. And B1 the Movie, you can watch the trailer at b1themovie.com. It is an awesome film that stars all the greatest thinkers in our community. A lot of them speech from Arrested Development, Riza Islam, Dr. Claude Anderson, Professor James Small, Vicky Dillard, Queen Afua. Just so many great people. Julian Gordon. Julian Gordon actually is the only black person I know who's helped black people acquire more than $250 million in real estate. So Julian is amazing. So many other great people. So feel free to go to b1themovie.com if you'd like to take a look at the film and the trailer. We're going to do the red carpet in Atlanta on Marcus Garvey's birthday. Marcus Garvey is another black person that every child needs to know about. And it's not their job to teach them about Garvey. It's your job, right? So stop outsourcing jobs that you need to do yourself. Seriously, stop leaning on others to train your kids on things you need to be teaching them yourself. And so if you want to know more about the movie, go to b1themovie.com. Also, the All Black National Convention is going to also be in Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis, October 20th through the 22nd. You can learn more at allblacknationalconvention.com. We're making Black history with that too, because we're partnering with the Black Doctoral Network, which is the largest organization of Black PhDs in the country. And this is the first time that I know of in history where you've had this many highly skilled, highly intelligent Black people gather together, independently funded. That's very important, right? This is not brought to you by McDonald's or Walmart. This is brought to you by Black people whose main objective is to solve problems in the Black community. So this is going to be amazing. And it's also just a lot of fun too. So if you want to join us, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. And also if you want something free, some free stuff from the Black Business School, if you text the word stock to 31996, I will send you my profit alert. There's a stock. I'm going to look and do some research, and I'm going to buy some stock today, actually. And so a little bit later on today, I'm going to text out the stock that I buy. And so if you are interested in that, just go to just text the word stock to 31996. I'll also send you a copy of our $5 a day investing plan that we use in the Black Business School to help you create wealth in less than a generation. All right, guys, I'm about to get out of here. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done that yet. and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I go live again. And I hope you have a great day. I hope this conversation helped you, and God bless you. I'll see you guys soon. Take care now. Peace.